I don't know about you, and honestly, I really don't know about you. And that's probably a good thing, right? But I sometimes like to have some lighthearted fun when it comes to mysteries and conspiracy theory stories. You know, the kind of stuff you read late at night, and you're like, whoa, could that be real? It's like a little mental vacation into the bizarre. And when it comes to bizarre, what's more classic than the Bermuda Triangle? It's the OG of mysterious places, the heavyweight champion of spooky sea stories. You've heard them all: disappearing planes, lost ships, compasses going haywire. It's wild stuff. So today we're going to dive deep, and I mean literally deep, into some of the wildest tales from the Devil's Triangle. We've got ancient lost cities, sea monsters, and maybe even a little visit from our friends from outer space. But here's the twist: we're going to play a little game. I'm going to lay out the stories, and you at home get to guess. Is this fact or is it pure fiction? Get your detective hats on, because we're about to do some serious myth-busting. The best part of these stories isn't just believing them blindly. It's the fun of actually checking the facts, right? It's that satisfying moment when you dig into a wild claim and find out what's really going on. Sometimes the truth is even stranger than the fiction, and other times it's just a bunch of rocks. But that's the fun. So get ready. We are heading into the heart of the mystery. Let's do this. Alright, first up on our tour of the terrifying triangle is a classic. You've probably seen it in movies or read it in some spooky book from the library. The idea is that the ocean floor in the Bermuda Triangle is bottomless. That's right, just an endless dark abyss. And not only that, but it's filled with these giant, vile whirlpools that just suck down entire ships like they're the last bit of a milkshake. Sounds terrifying, right? I mean, a whirlpool that can swallow a whole container ship? That's a big straw. Picture this: you're the captain of a ship, you're sailing along, enjoying the sun, maybe listening to some sea shanties. Suddenly, the water starts spinning, faster and faster. The ship starts creaking, the crew is panicking, and before you know it, you're spiraling down into the dark. It's a great scene for a movie, for sure. You'd have your hero like swinging from a rope trying to save the day. It's got everything. But is it real? Could the ocean floor really have these ship-eating drains? Well, let's talk about blue holes. That's a real thing. The area around the Bahamas, which is right in the triangle, is famous for them. These are basically giant underwater sinkholes or caves that can be hundreds of feet deep. They look incredible from above. These perfect dark blue circles in the middle of the bright turquoise water. They are absolutely stunning, and because of the tides moving in and out of these massive caverns, they can create some pretty intense water currents. So, here's where the whirlpool idea comes from. When a massive amount of water is forced through a narrow opening, like the entrance to one of these blue holes, it can start to spin. It's just physics, you know, like water going down your bathtub drain, but on a much, much bigger scale. So, technically, whirlpools and form near these blue holes. The story isn't completely made up, you can see where it comes from, but here's the million-dollar question: are they big enough to swallow a freighter or a plane? The answer, according to, scientists and oceanographers, people who actually study this stuff for a living, is a big resounding no, not even close. These tidal whirlpools might be a bit of a challenge for a small boat, or maybe a kayaker who gets too close. But an oil tanker? A naval destroyer? It would barely even notice it. Think about the sheer size and weight of a modern ship. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of tons of steel. The amount of force required to pull something that massive underwater in a vortex is just astronomical. The whirlpools created by blue holes are powerful for sure, but they're not powerful. They are more of a local curiosity than a maritime menace of epic proportions. It's like blaming a puddle for flooding a city. So, for our first myth, the verdict is in. Vile ship-swallowing whirlpools? Fiction. Cool-looking underwater caves that create some strong currents? That's a fact. It's a great example of how a real natural phenomenon gets exaggerated and twisted over time, until it becomes this legendary, terrifying story. But hey, it makes for a much better story than strong tides, right? You can't sell books with that title. Okay, so we've established that the whirlpools aren't eating ships, but that doesn't mean the blue holes are empty, right? I mean, they're these deep, dark, mysterious caves. Something has to be living down there, and according to local legend, that something is the Luska. Done! 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 Sounds scary, doesn't it? The name alone is pretty good. It's not a fluffy bunny, it's the Luska. It just sounds like it means business. So what is the Lusca? Well, the stories from the Bahamas and the Caribbean describe it as a monstrous creature. Some say it's half shark, half octopus, which, first of all, how does that even work? I'm trying to picture it. Does it have a beak and tentacles on one end and a fin on the other? Is it just an octopus that's really, really mean? The descriptions vary, but the one thing they all agree on is that it's huge. It lives in the dark watery caves of the blue holes, and it drags people, and even small boats, down to their doom. It's the perfect sea monster legend. It's basically the boogeyman for sailors in that area. Don't go near the blue hole, or the Lusca will get you. It's a fantastic story, and you can totally see why it's lasted for so long. It taps into that primal fear of what we can't see, what lurks in the dark water beneath our feet. Every culture has a monster story, and for this part of the world, the Lusca is the star of the show. It's the A-lister of deep-sea, scary things. Now let's bring it back to reality for a second. Is there any truth to this? Could a giant, ship-grabbing octopus monster actually exist? Well, we do know that giant octopuses are real. And giant squid too. The ocean is full of amazing, massive creatures. We've all seen the footage of the giant squid, right? They are incredible. Huge eyes, tentacles as long as a bus. They are the stuff of nightmares and wonder, all at once. They are very, very real. The problem is a matter of scale. The largest known giant octopus has a radial spread of about 30 feet and weighs a few hundred pounds. That's big. I would not want to run into one while I'm snorkeling. No thank you, I'd be out of the water so fast. But is it big enough to grab a fishing trawler and pull it under the waves into a cave? Not a chance. Again, we're talking about tons and tons of displacement. It just doesn't add up. And as for the half shark, half octopus thing, well, that's just biologically not a thing. That's pure mythology like a griffin or a centaur. It's a cool concept, a fantastic mashup of two scary animals, but it doesn't exist in the real world. Scientists who have explored these blue holes have found a lot of amazing things, new species of crustaceans, incredible geological formations, but they have not found one single shred of evidence for a Lusca. Not a tentacle, not a beak, not a shark butt, whatever it's supposed to have. So, the Lusca. Is it a fact or is it fiction? While the idea of a giant lurking sea monster is an awesome story, and it's rooted in the very real existence of large cephalopods, the ship-sinking monster of legend is pure fiction. It's a fantastic piece of folklore, a great way to scare the kids, and a testament to the power of our imagination when we look at a dark, mysterious hole in the ocean and wonder, what's down there? Alright, let's move from monsters to something even grander, a lost city, but not just any lost city. We're talking about the big one, the lost city of Atlantis. Yes, that Atlantis, the legendary, technologically advanced civilization described by Plato, that supposedly sank beneath the waves in a single day and night. For centuries, people have been searching for it, and some people believe they found it, right off the coast of the Bahamas, in the Bermuda Triangle. The story goes like this. In 1968, a pilot named Robert Brush was flying over the Bimini Islands. He looked down into the clear water and saw something that blew his mind. It looked like a road, or a wall, or the foundation of a massive building sitting on the seafloor. It was a long, organized pattern of huge, rectangular limestone blocks, fitting together almost perfectly. It looked man-made. This discovery naturally became known as the Bimini Road. This was huge news. People went nuts. Could this be it? Could this be the proof of Atlantis everyone had been looking for? It's in the right general area of the Atlantic. It looks ancient. It looks like architecture. The pieces seem to fit. The psychic Edgar Cayce had even predicted that evidence of Atlantis would be found near Bimini in 1968 or 1969. So when this road was found, his followers were like, "See? He was right." The hype was incredible. Imagine finding that. You're just flying along, and you spot what looks like a highway on the ocean floor. You'd think you were going crazy, but divers went down and confirmed it. There it was, a J-shaped formation of massive stones, stretching for nearly half a mile. To the untrained eye, it absolutely looks like the ruins of an ancient harbor or a mysterious pavement leading to a sunken city. The mystery and the romance of it all is just undeniable. But as you can probably guess, geologists and archaeologists got involved, and they tend to bring a little bit of, science to the party, which can sometimes be a buzzkill, but it's also, important. They took samples, they studied the formations, they looked at the surrounding geology, and they came to a very different conclusion. A less exciting conclusion, I have to admit, but a scientific one. What they found was that the Bimini Road is a completely natural formation. It's something called beach rock. Basically, it's when sand and shells and other sediments in the intertidal zone, the area between high and low tide, get cemented together by minerals, forming a solid layer of rock. Over time, this rock can fracture in very straight, very geometric, block-like patterns due to stress and erosion. It's a natural process that just happens to create something that looks artificial. So those perfectly fitted rectangular blocks, they're the result of natural fractures in the rock, not ancient masons. And when they carbon dated the shells inside the rock, they found it was only a few thousand years old, way too young to be the legendary Atlantis, which was supposed to have vanished 9,000 years before Plato. So, the science points pretty definitively away from it being a man-made structure. The lost city of Atlantis remains, well, lost. Sorry, Aquaman. Okay, we've had whirlpools, sea monsters, and lost cities. What are we missing? Oh, I know. Aliens. You can't have a good conspiracy theory deep dive without bringing in extraterrestrials at some point. It's like the law, and the Bermuda Triangle has its fair share of UFO stories, or, in this case, USO stories. That's unidentified submerged object. See? They can be in the water too. They're versatile. This particular story comes from a treasure hunter named Daryl Miklos, and it was featured on his TV show, so, take that with a grain of salt. His team was using secret maps created by his friend, the astronaut Gordon Cooper, to find shipwrecks in the Caribbean. Cooper, from his time in orbit, had apparently noted magnetic anomalies on the Earth's surface, thinking they might be sunken Spanish galleons loaded with treasure. Sounds like a movie plot already, right? So Miklos is following these maps, and he comes across something really weird in the Bahamas. It's not a shipwreck. He described it as a massive, unidentified object on the seafloor. According to him, it had these long arms or protrusions sticking out of its side, 15 of them, and the whole thing was covered in coral, meaning it had been down there for a very long time. It was unlike any shipwreck he had ever seen. He sent divers down, and the footage is very mysterious. You see these huge shapes loom in out of the murk. Miklos claimed it was enormous and that nothing he knew of in nature could explain it. So naturally, the speculation went straight to the most exciting possibility: an alien spaceship that crashed into the ocean thousands of years ago. An ancient USO just sitting there at the bottom of the Bermuda Triangle. I mean, come on, that's a pretty cool idea. Now, let's put on our skeptical hats again. They're getting a lot of use today. First, the source is a TV show about treasure hunting. These shows are designed for maximum drama and ratings. A headline like "Treasure Hunter Finds Weird Rock" just doesn't have the same ring to it as "Treasure Hunter Finds Crashed Alien Spaceship." So there's a huge incentive to hype up any discovery. It's just good television. Second, and this is the big one, there has been zero scientific follow-up. No independent marine biologists, geologists, or archaeologists have gone on record to say, yes, we've examined this and it appears to be of extraterrestrial origin. The images are grainy and inconclusive. It could be a strange rock formation. It could be an unusual coral growth pattern. It could be a weirdly shaped shipwreck that he just didn't recognize. There are tons of possibilities. Without any real scientific analysis, it's just a story. A fun story, a great story for TV. But a story nonetheless. It's a classic case of seeing a weird shape and jumping to the most fantastic conclusion possible. It's like seeing a face in the clouds and assuming it's a giant watching you. So, is there a crashed alien mothership at the bottom of the triangle? I'm not saying it's impossible, but there is absolutely no proof. So for now, this one goes firmly in the fiction pile. Alright, for our last one, we're getting into some really weird science. Or, maybe, science. This one is a bit of a trip. The story involves something called the Hutchison effect. It sounds very official, doesn't it? Like the Doppler effect or the Coriolis effect. It sounds like something you'd learn about in physics class. The name itself gives it this air of legitimacy. So what is it? The Hutchison effect is named after its inventor, a Canadian amateur scientist named John Hutchison. Back in the 1970s, he claimed that by using a whole bunch of high-voltage electrical equipment, Tesla coils, Van de Graaff generators, all that cool mad scientist stuff, he could create strange electromagnetic fields that had bizarre effects on objects. And I mean bizarre effects, we're talking levitation, objects becoming translucent, and even metals fusing together at room temperature. It's like something out of a sci-fi movie. Imagine pointing a bunch of weird antennas at a bowling ball and it just floats up into the air. Or two different pieces of metal, like a piece of aluminum and a piece of steel, just melting into each other without any heat. Hutchison has produced videos and photos over the years that supposedly show these things happening in his lab. Spoons bending, objects disappearing, all sorts of wild phenomena. So what does this have to do with the Bermuda Triangle? Well, the theory goes that maybe there's a natural version of the Hutchison effect happening there. Maybe the unique magnetic fields of the area, combined with certain atmospheric conditions, are creating these powerful, localized energy fields that are causing planes and ships to fall apart, or levitate, or become translucent and just phase out of existence. It's offered as a scientific explanation for the disappearances. It's a very tempting idea because it uses scientific-sounding language to explain something mysterious. It's not just magic or aliens, it's an effect. It's anomalous electromagnetic fields. It makes the paranormal feel plausible. If a guy in his apartment can supposedly make a fork float with some wires and electricity, maybe the Earth can do it on a much larger scale and make a whole airplane disappear. It seems to connect the dots. But here's the reality check. The Hutchison effect has never, ever been successfully replicated by any independent scientist in a controlled laboratory setting. Ever. Mainstream science does not recognize it as a real phenomenon. When other scientists have tried to recreate his experiments based on his notes, they get nothing. The objects just sit there. No levitation, no weird melting, nothing. Most scientists who have looked at his work conclude that his videos and demonstrations are likely clever hoaxes or illusions. It's relatively easy to fake things like that with hidden wires, camera tricks, or pre-prepared materials. So, the very foundation of the theory, the effect itself, is not considered real by the scientific community. And if the effect isn't real in a lab, the idea that it's happening on a massive scale in the ocean is, well, it's pure fiction. It's a fascinating idea, but it's not science. So there you have it. Sea monsters, lost cities, alien spaceships, and weird science. The Bermuda Triangle is basically the world's greatest mystery buffet. We've looked at some of the wildest stories out there, and we've seen how a lot of them start with a little grain of truth, a blue hole, a weird rock formation, that then gets spun into something legendary. So now I want to hear from you. Which stories did you think were real? Did any of the debunking surprise you? Let me know down in the comments. I want to see your guesses before you watched. The whole point of this isn't to make fun of the stories or the people who enjoy them. It's about embracing that curiosity. It's fun to wonder what if. It's what drives us to explore and to learn. The best thing we can do is to keep that sense of wonder, but also carry a healthy dose of lighthearted skepticism with us. Don't just accept the first spooky story you hear. Dig a little deeper, ask questions, and see where the facts lead you. Sometimes the truth is less dramatic, but it's often just as interesting. Thanks for coming on this little adventure with me into the heart of the mystery. It's a weird world out there, and there are still so many real amazing things to discover. So keep exploring, keep questioning, and never stop being curious. And if you enjoyed our little myth-busting session, make sure to like and subscribe, because we have a lot more of the map to explore. I'll see you next time.